I opened her notes app, and my stomach dropped. It wasn't just thoughts. It was plans. Dates. Things I said, and how she'd twist them. It was like reading a villain origin story. And I was the villain. There were 47 entries. She documented everything from how I sleep to how she planned to break me. Even drafts of texts I'd eventually receive dated months in advance. Check your partner's notes app. You don't know what version of you they're writing about. I never thought I'd be the kind of person to snoop through someone's phone. But when Sarah left her phone unlocked on the coffee table, curiosity got the better of me. We'd been dating for 6 months, and things seemed perfect. Too perfect. Maybe. I scrolled through her apps. The notes icon caught my eye. I tapped it, expecting to find grocery lists or work reminders. Instead, I found a folder titled J, my initial. The first note was dated 3 months ago. J snores loudly, possible leverage for future arguments. My heart raced as I read on. Each entry was meticulously detailed, analyzing my behavior, habits, and vulnerabilities. Entry number 12. J mentioned childhood dog, emotional weak spot, use in manipulation tactics. Entry number 23. J hates being late, arrived 5 minutes early to dinner, potential control issue to exploit. Entry number 31. J's insecurity about job performance, plant seeds of doubt regularly. I felt sick. This wasn't the Sarah I knew, or thought I knew. The woman I loved had been studying me like a lab rat, looking for ways to manipulate and control me. Some entries were even more chilling. Fake emergency call during J's important presentation. Observe reaction. Another read. Intentionally trigger argument before J's family visit. Isolate from support system. The level of calculation was staggering. She had planned out conversations we hadn't even had yet, with multiple scripts for different scenarios. It was like reading the strategy guide for a game where I was the unwitting player. Scrolled faster, my hands shaking. There were notes about my friends, analyzing which ones she could turn against me. She had lists of my fears and insecurities, each with a plan on how to weaponize them. The most recent entry made my blood run cold. Phase 1 complete. J fully trusts me. Begin Phase 2, financial entanglement. There was a detailed plan to convince me to join our bank accounts, followed by a slow drain of my savings. I heard the front door open. Sarah was back from her run. I quickly closed the app and put her phone back, my mind reeling. How could I face her knowing what I now knew? As she walked in, smiling and sweaty, I forced a grin. "Hey, how was your run?" I asked, my voice surprisingly steady. "Great," she beamed. "I was thinking maybe we could talk about moving in together soon. Feel like we're ready for that next step." My stomach churned. According to her notes, this conversation was scheduled for next week. She was ahead of schedule. "Yeah, maybe," I said noncommittally. "Let's talk about it later. I've got some work to finish up." As I retreated to the bedroom, I could feel her eyes on me. Did she suspect I knew? Was this all part of her plan too? I spent the next few days in a daze, second-guessing every interaction we had. Was her laugh genuine, or just another calculated move? When she comforted me after a tough day at work, was she really being supportive, or just gathering more ammunition? I couldn't confront her directly. If I admitted to looking at her phone, she'd turn it around on me, make me the bad guy. Plus, what if I was overreacting? Maybe this was just some weird writing exercise or a prank gone too far. But deep down, I knew the truth. The Sarah I loved was a carefully constructed facade. The real Sarah was the one who wrote those notes, who saw me not as a partner, but as a puzzle to be solved and exploited. I started paying more attention to our conversations, noticing how she'd steer topics towards my vulnerabilities, how she'd subtly undermine my confidence or create conflict with my friends. It was all there in her playbook, and I was watching it unfold in real time. One night as we lay in bed, she turned to me with a serious expression. "Jay, I need to tell you something," she said, her voice trembling slightly. "I lost my job today." My first instinct was sympathy, but then I remembered entry number 39. Create false crisis. Assess Jay's willingness to provide financial support. "I'm so sorry to hear that," I said carefully. "What happened?" She launched into a story about budget cuts and unfair bosses. It was convincing. She'd always been a good actress. But now I could see the calculation behind her tears, the way she was watching for my reaction. "Don't worry," I said, keeping my tone neutral. "You're smart and talented. I'm sure you'll find something new soon. A flicker of frustration crossed her face before she masked it with a grateful smile. Thanks, Jay. I don't know what I'd do without you. As she snuggled closer, I lay rigid, my mind racing. How long could I keep up this charade? How long before she realized her carefully laid plans weren't working? The next morning, I woke up early and grabbed her phone while she was still asleep. I had to know if there were any updates to her twisted diary. There was a new entry from last night. Jay's response to job loss, underwhelming. Possible suspicion, accelerate phase 2. My hand shook as I put the phone back. She knew, or at least she suspected. I was running out of time. I spent the next week in a state of constant anxiety. Every text, every touch, every I love you felt like a lie. I started making excuses to spend less time with her, claiming work stress or family obligations. Sarah's behavior became more erratic. She'd swing between clingy affection and cold distance, trying to provoke a reaction. I could almost see her consulting her mental playbook, trying to figure out which strategy would work best. Finally, I couldn't take it anymore. I had to end things, but I knew it wouldn't be easy. Sarah wasn't the type to let go without a fight. I chose a public place for the breakup, a busy cafe where she could unmake a scene. As I waited for her to arrive, I rehearsed what I'd say, trying to anticipate her responses. She walked in, looking confused and concerned. Jay, what's going on? Why did you want to meet here? I took a deep breath. Sarah, I think we need to break up. Her face cycled through shock, hurt, and anger in rapid succession. What? Why? Is there someone else? I shook my head. No, there's no one else. I don't think we're right for each other. She leaned forward, her eyes intense. Jay, whatever's wrong, we can fix it. I love you. You love me. Isn't that enough? For a moment, I almost wavered. She was so convincing, so earnest. But then I remembered the cold, calculating words in her notes app. This wasn't love. This was manipulation. I'm sorry, Sarah. My decision is final. Her face hardened. Fine, if that's how you want it. But don't come crawling back when you realize what you've thrown away. As she stormed out of the cafe, I felt a mix of relief and sadness. Relief that it was over, that I'd escaped before she could do real damage. Sadness for what could have been, if only it had been real. In the weeks that followed, Sarah tried every trick in her book. Angry texts, tearful voicemails, mutual friends reaching out on her behalf. But knowing her playbook gave me strength. I stood firm, and eventually the attempts stopped. It's been 6 months since that day in the cafe. Sometimes I still catch myself wondering if I did the right thing. What if I had confronted her about the notes? Could we have worked through it? But then I remember the cold, calculating nature of those entries. The Sarah I loved never really existed. She was a character created to ensnare me. I'm sharing this story as a warning. Trust your instincts. Something feels off in your relationship, dig deeper. And yes, check your partner's notes app. You might be surprised at the version of yourself they're writing about. Love should be built on trust and mutual respect, not manipulation and deceit. Don't let yourself become a character in someone else's villainous plot. You deserve better. You all do.